Okay, hi everybody. It's Comics with, no, Julian's Got on Comics is what we're calling it. Okay, so for this episode we read The Astonishing X-Men, Volume 2, Dangerous. It's about the birth of a new character basically in the X-Men universe, who actually winds up being a good guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know it's hard to tell. Oh, I didn't start my timer. I know it's hard to tell from the book itself because she's a bad guy in the book. But anyway, before we get started, old business.
Let's do it.
Call to order, old business. I forgot to mention last episode, how much I like Bart Sears as an artist. He's awesome. And Sal Buscema actually drove all those Hulk comics. I liked it so much when I was a little kid. He really draws the Hulk really well. He draws anger just fantastically. It's a really weird comic called Martial Law that I used to really like. Martial Law would kill bad guy superheroes in this weird alternate universe. You just kind of have to read it to know what I'm talking about. Martial Law is really strange. And then my all-time favorite comic was Nexus, and I forgot to mention Nexus.
Okay.
I don't know how I managed to forget that. Right now we're in the branch manager's office. Every episode we're going to do the show from a different spot somewhere in the branch that like the public doesn't have access to. Last time we did the staff room. This is the branch manager's office. We'll do someplace crazy next time. Two things I want to mention before we get started is May 7th is Free Comic Book Day. Go check out free comics at your local library. And May 4th is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, should have filmed on the 4th.
Did you like, okay, first thing, did you like this comic?
Overall, yes.
Overall, yes.
Overall.
Qualified. Were there parts of it that didn't do anything for you?
Yeah, like I know you love Joss.
I do like some Joss.
And like his writing style, I know you really like, but some of it, like the little witty one-liners, it kind of broke the fourth wall and not really in a good way.
Yeah.
It just kind of made me think like, oh wow, he really put a lot of time and effort into that line. It made me think about more about him writing it than the story with that line.
Oh, really? Like it pulled you out of the story
Yeah,
because it was so clever and
like
witty and inside, and aren't I so clever?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I picture myself as that clever, so I like it so much. This is probably something I shouldn't do.
But that's what you overall, you liked about the book also, though.
Yeah, I do like the conversation. The conversations to me feel like, and Buffy was like this, and not so much Firefly, but the Dollhouse, I think that was the name of the show. But when he writes conversation, that feels like that's how people talk. Like when George Lucas writes conversations, they're so stilted and it just, I am acting. And when Joss Whedon writes dialogue and that kind of thing, it feels to me very genuine. But it doesn't hit everybody like that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was a little bit worried about was, was the book, did it lose you because you didn't know the backstory?
Not really.
Not too bad? Okay.
I mean, with every book that you're going to read, especially comic books, you kind of have to dig into it and just kind of like go for it, make some assumptions, and then get those wrong or right, and just kind of go for it and see where it takes you. But this wasn't too hard to get into.
I like it when a book, and that was another thing I was going to mention, is that fanboys call comic books books. And I know it sounds a little pretentious, but you'll hear me refer to comics as books, and I've been doing that for years and years. And I picked that up.
You just said it like a few minutes ago.
I picked that up along the way somewhere, and I know people that don't read comics are like, it's not a book, it's a comic. I don't even call them books. But I don't mind it when a comic book starts out and it's doing something that you don't understand. Like when Armor was talking to Wing, and you didn't know who Wing was, you probably didn't know who Armor was, and she's trying to talk him into jump off a ledge and basically commit suicide. And you're like, what's going on? And then as the book goes on, you find out that he's lost his powers, and he used to be able to fly and now he can't, and that it's not really her talking to him, it's the Danger Room is fooling him into thinking that he's in that situation. The Danger Room is a training tool that the X-Men have used since day one. They've had the Danger Room, and it's basically just where they go in and they train, and stuff tries to kill them and murder them, but there's safety protocols, and that's how they train. It's like the holodeck on Star Trek. But in this one, the Danger Room has been upgraded by some sort of alien technology, and it has gained sentience, and it's really angry at the X-Men for having been assigned to kill them over and over and over again, and yet its programming tells them that it can't. There's a basic flaw or whatever, contradiction in its programming, and it's kind of driven it crazy. And the Danger Room actually comes to life and becomes a sentient being, and separate from the Danger Room, instead of just being a room, now it's like a person, or it's a person-sized robot. Did you notice that Danger was female?
Yes.
What's up with that?
I thought it was kind of interesting.
That sent me off on a whole tangent of sexism in comics. I think it was female because they make mention that they use Shi'ar technology. That's an alien race that the X-Men come across to upgrade the Danger Room, And because of that, I think it just automatically was a female. And the Shi'ar technology, I'm sorry, I should have said the Shi'ar is a matriarchy, like where women run the show.
Okay.
I think. And so I guess that's why it was like, it wasn't even explained. They didn't say a word about it, just Danger Room's female. I thought that was kind of cool. Joss, that's another thing I like about Joss Whedon is that he does strong female characters fairly well. I think, but like, you know, when you were talking about you like Black Widow last time, I was like, oh, I wonder if Julie likes Black Widow because she's a girl. What a dumb question. Nobody ever asked me, Scott, do you like Captain America because he's a guy? So is that, I don't even know if it's a fair question.
You know, I wouldn't say it's a dumb question. I do like her because she's female, but it's not like the main point I'm driven towards her because she's female. But it is an important part because there aren't a lot of females in comics.
There really are.
And she's one of the few that are, I mean, each writer is going to take her a little bit differently and write her and draw her differently, but for the most part, I like her as a character and how she's represented for the most part in comics.
It is, strong female characters are hard to find. Less so than they used to be, but it's still, most female characters are there to be rescued, or they're getting better at it. But the other thing that always annoys me about female characters is they're in little skimpy outfits and the guys are in just regular outfits.
And like the view of the panel is just perfect on the woman's body, so you get everything.
Yeah,
but
that's never ceases to disappoint. I remember when I was 14, I was like, whoa, that's fantastic. But as a grown person, that's kind of silly and exploitative. I remember I was struck by that during Batman Superman, watching that movie where there's a scene where, you know, the three of them, the Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are pictured together. Batman's wearing armor, and all you can see is that much of his face. Superman's got his whole thing on, and all you can see is his hands and his head. And Wonder Woman is in a bikini, basically. Yeah. And it's like, really? She doesn't get to wear a little armored outfit or something?
Yeah. I know it's a personal choice, too, but yeah, it's definitely how that she's been drawn over, too. It's
for decades, generations.
Yeah.
All right, so what else do we want to talk about? Did you know, okay, there were some really cool scenes in the book that I liked. Like there's a scene where Colossus is about to punch Danger. And Danger is what the character is called that the Danger Room becomes. She becomes Danger. And you can see reflected in his shiny metal fist, you can see her reflected in his fist before he unloads on her. I thought that was a really cool piece of art. Yeah. That harkens back to, there's a really kind of, I don't know if famous is the right way to say it, but there's a notorious picture that Todd McFarlane drew. It was a fight between Wolverine and the Hulk. And Wolverine is doing this with his claws, and you can see the Hulk's face reflected in his claws. It's really cool. Yeah, I had a poster of that at one point.
That's cool. It's just little details when they put that into the
artwork. I really like the little details like that. Some comics really take the time to put a little bit of attention into details. Most don't. Most of them are just kind of. Let's see.
Speaking of details in the Fantastic Four, want to touch on that? Their little cameo in here.
Oh yeah, I like that. I really like their little cameo.
Yeah.
They show up at the very beginning. There's a giant monster that comes up out of the ground, and that's the Fantastic Four. That's how they came into being. Basically, was fighting Mole Man's giant monsters that come out of the ground. And when they show up, the thing actually says that we do big monsters in Manhattan. That's our signature piece. And Sue Stormer's like, man, I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did I like? I really liked the fact that you got to see Xavier fight. Usually Xavier's in the wheelchair and he's back at the mansion, and they go out and fight. The X-Men get their butts kicked. They're all laid out, and now here comes Chuck to the rescue.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That was unusual. That was kind of man bites dog, so to speak.
But then, like, I felt like the whole big climax with him, and then he just kind of he's in a truck, and he was in a truck. Uses an 18-wheeler.
Like a James Cameron movie. There's always a truck at the end of it.
You could have done anything, and you have him hit the evil character with the 18-wheeler. I don't know. It wasn't really my thing.
Drove a truck into her. Yeah, that was not the best climax.
She's kind of chilling there.
He did the cerebral thing where they're both in he's in her mind and they're talking, and then he hits her with a truck. Yeah, that was kind of silly. It was cool to see Beast get to be feral because he's always thinky and cerebral, and he did some real teeth gnashing fighting. He was biting wires out of the back of her head and stuff. That was really cool. What else? There was a good quote where, like, Danger knows their habits really well because she's been training them for years and years and years. So she knows how they're going to react in a fight, she thinks. But in this case, they're not in danger. They're what is it? They're not in the danger room. They're in danger. There was a difference. So they know that it's not training. Their lives are at stake because she's trying to kill them. Yeah. So they do different stuff, and that's where she starts to have some problems predicting what they're going to do next, because she's really good at that, obviously. That's her whole race on to Etra, but because they're reacting as if they're going to be killed instead of just being trained, they do different stuff. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
There was another, did you catch at the very beginning when they're following the characters along and like Kitty's doing something, Kitty Pryde is doing something, and she's thinking, you can hear what she's thinking, and she's thinking about a relationship with Colossus. And then Colossus is doing something, he's punching the monster in the nose, and you can hear what he's thinking. Oh, that cheesy 70s game show music tells us that that's our 10 minutes. Wow, it went by really fast.
Yeah, it really did go by fast.
Do you have your comic for next
yes.
time? Okay, for next time we're going to read. That's the one.
This is the one.
Okay, so this video will feature editing and, I know, 20th century technology, right? It's only 2016. And Black Widow. We're going to have a link to the comic that we're going to read for next time. Black Widow, The Finely Woven Thread by Edmondson and Noto. Julie mentioned Noto last time. We looked up some of his artwork online. It is awesome. It's beautiful artwork. So you own this. This is your personal copy. Yes, that's my personal copy. We'll have a link to it on the video so that you can click on it and put it on hold. You can read along with us, and that's about all we have for tonight. You got anything else?
That's it.
I did all the talking this time. I'm really sorry. Because it was my comic. Next time,
yes,
Julie will talk about Black Widow, and I'll do a lot of sitting and going, yeah, that's a good point.
I look forward to it. That was so cool.